How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Everyone's having a lovely day. Bengals Browns week 7, a bit of a different field of this one compared to the past. Bengals 2-4, Browns 1-5. Both teams really on the cusp of things. Browns not sitting out 1-5 now, more of about out the door. Bengals 2-4. We're gonna feel the same way though if they lose this football game, sitting at 2-5. Nonetheless, anything's possible in the NFL. As we know, 10-7, very viable to make the playoffs. You go on a run, you're gonna have to again win out losing only 2 football games. Question is, can the Browns do that? Question is, can the Bengals do that, losing again only 3 football games? I mean, we walk into this one, a lot of question marks still for both of these football teams. I mean, we look at the Browns. Deshaun Watson, the Deshaun Watson experiment just doesn't feel like it's going to work out. It doesn't. To me, again, not a Browns fan, can't say I've watched every Deshaun Watson snap, but of the games I've seen, he just doesn't feel, from his mentality, it just doesn't feel like he cares. Quite frankly, I just never got that aura that he cared. He was just coming back for the money kind of thing. Like, he just prior to coming to the Browns, just didn't feel like he had that, whatever. And the problem with that is yeah, you can play on your natural gifted talents for a while, but the problem with that is this is a guy that's been struggling to complete passes, struggling with his accuracy, struggling to make good decisions, taking a lot of hits this season. 31 sacks so far, almost, or a little over 5 sacks per game. Now that's going to make things a lot more difficult when your offensive line isn't giving you as much time to throw the football. Something the Browns have done exceptionally well in is blocking and protecting for the quarterback these past few seasons, and something they've done exceptionally well and excelled in against the Bengals. This is why when it's, as a Bengals fan, you never sleep on the Browns, you never sleep on that quarterback, because the nightmares are still here. Baker Mayfield out the door. He's a game, or he's 2 games short. They got to get rid of this guy, right? In comes the Cincinnati Bengals, and Baker Mayfield looks like a Hall of Fame quarterback back there. Time and time again. Big part of that, Bengals couldn't get pressure on the quarterback. He has all day to throw, and we've seen what happened when Baker had time to throw. And a good system, by the way he's playing now, excellent football. And you bring that to, now Deshaun Watson, say, well, big problem, he's got 31 sacks and getting drilled back there. Bengals can't get pressure on the quarterback. He's got time to throw the football. Can he move it up and down the field? He has beaten the Bengals in a Cleveland Browns uniform, and he's proven he can beat the Bengals. A lot of that leaning heavy on the run game, Bengals defense not being able to get off the field. And that is, again, the 2 focal points for this Bengals defense. Are they going to be able to get pressure on Deshaun Watson? Because I think he makes the mistakes. I think he'll throw them out of games if they can get pressure on Deshaun Watson. Secondly, and it's a big secondly, pretty big secondly, Nick Chubb expected to make his return this week after the ACL, after just the knee in general being obliterated last season. So how he returns and he recovers from that, that's going to be interesting. Will they work him in slowly? Now, naturally, I'd say you're going to work this man in slowly. But also, I'm looking at the bigger picture here, and I guess it depends on the game script, how things are going, but I'm looking at bigger pictures here and saying, hey, this is a Browns team that's 1-5. They got to win now. And in my eyes, Nick Chubb, best pure runner in the league, pre-injury. Is he still there with the knee? We'll see, but pre-injury, best pure runner in the league. You got to lean on that. Run game hasn't been there for Cleveland. There hasn't been much of anything there. When you're 1-5, there hasn't been much of anything there. But we know this team with Nick Chubb back there is a different football team. We know this team's capable of putting up points. We know this team, more importantly, concerning the Bengals, the Bengals run defense up until last week finally did hold Tracy Jr. over there to 2.9 yards per carry. But this Bengals run defense has had a lot of holes this season. They've had problems tackling the ball carrier. 2 things that Nick Chubb will feast on if that continues. But the Bengals built on that momentum from last week. Might be able to take this man down, might be able to force some stops. But this is the thing where positive game script for the Bengals is a very, very big key. Because if you fall behind to the Browns and you do get a guy like Nick Chubb, or you do even in general give this team a chance to get their run game going, something you've had a hard time stopping, they can control that football and they'll happily do it. We even see it in the Giants game last week. The last couple of drives of the Giants had 16 plays, 12 plays, just slowly but methodically pushing the football down the field. Worst thing that can happen if you're the Bengals, because you want the football in number 9's hands, and you don't want to wear and tear wear down a defense that, again, was already struggling to stop in certain areas. Because once any defense gets tired, life gets a lot more difficult. Nonetheless, though, the tools are there for the Browns to move this football down the field like they have in the past against the Cincinnati Bengals. They figured it out in the past. They can figure it out now. Something about these division games in general, Bengals have had a little bit of a tough time with. Nonetheless, let's talk about these Bengals. They have actually had pretty good success running the football against this Cleveland Browns team in the last 4 to 5 games. The issue's been, again, the game script falling from behind, not being able to run the football. And now we enter Chase Brown. Quick, fast, and electric. Chase Brown, 5.5 yards per carry. He is doing something a Cincinnati Bengals running back has not done since Jeremy Hill did it in 2014. That is average over 5 yards per carry. Now, don't get me wrong, still early in the season, a lot can change, but it just feels like, this guy every single week's got a chance to bust one out. This guy every single week is hitting a hole, making plays. He looks like the best running back the Bengals have had since, dare we say it, a young Joe Mixon back in his sophomore year when he looked like, okay, this guy's it. Kind of fell backwards after that on the Bengals team, but this guy's it. Now playing exceptionally well in Houston. Kind of feeling like that all over again, but with a little bit more speed. And Chase Brown has got to work on a pass blocking. Guys got a chance to make an impact. So it'll be interesting here because you always want the football in your franchise quarterback's hands. But if Chase Brown can methodically move this football up and down the field with the help, of course, of this offensive line and this team in general, you got to think the Bengals do that just to slow the game down on the road. Give their defense a chance to breathe. Their defense, who, by the way, let's not sleep on the fact that, these guys coming back healthy, how much of an impact that made last week. Allowed 7 points. Say what you will about who they played in the New York Giants. They allowed 7 points. Holding a football team in the NFL down to 7 points is impressive, especially considering this is a team that was just 30 a week at ease. Felt like it could have been an easy 20-25 this week. Defense found a way to make the stops when they needed to. Defense found a way to get off the football field. Played some good ball. Can they do that again this week? Can they do that again with the help of this Bengals offense, who, by the way, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, really coming out the gates having the best starts of their careers. Jamar Chase, second in the league in passing, receiving yards. Joe Burrow been moving the football up and down the field with ease. Still up there leading the second in the league in completion percentage. Taking care of the football in a very big way. The one question we always do have, well, 2 questions really. Protecting the quarterback. Because let's talk about, Myles Garrett. Heard of him. Probably pretty good football player. Averaging about a sack and a half against the Bengals in his career. And then you got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, who is Koramoah. I'm telling you what, I promise. I practiced that thing like 40 freaking times. I can't do it. It's the name on the back. When you look at the name on the back and you try to say it, it gets you every time. I'm pretty sure it was really close on that one, though. Nonetheless, this guy's been all over the place. Run-stopping menace out there. Able to get a little bit of pressure on the quarterback here and there as well. And if this is a guy, again, we talked about the Chase Brown effect, if this is the guy that can be that game wrecker for them on the ground, that can force those second and longs, force those third and longs, give that pass rush, give Myles Garrett and company a chance to get some down and distances and hit that quarterback. We did see last week the New York Giants, the team right now, dominant on the defensive line in the NFL, get pressure on the quarterback, and we've seen the impact that had on the scoreboard in a big way from a football team that was just clicking on all cylinders, looked like the best offense in the league, held them 17 points, humbled them really quickly. You get Joe Burrow, you get this team off the field by putting pressure on that quarterback, and can they do it? Can the offensive line hold up? Second question, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase, again, second in the league in receiving yards. And Nick Collins, by the way, isn't even playing. He's not even playing. So that's how good of a season he's been having. Anyway, Jamar Chase, it's not a secret anymore. Now, the Ravens had an atrocious secondary for a few games where he's lit them up. Besides that, Jamar Chase has struggled against the division. For the last 5 games against the Cleveland Browns, Jamar Chase has been held under 50 yards. But, again, big game against Baltimore last week. Guys having one of the best games seasons of his career. Looking at that contract year-esque kind of season for him. Is this Jamar Chase? Is this the Joe Burrow Jamar Chase connection we expected coming out of LSU that can finally just dominate each and every team we see them play? Doesn't matter what they do. Doesn't matter what kind of double coverage we get. Will we see that this week? Because if we see that this week, it is going to be a long game for the Cleveland Browns on defense. If not, you still got T. Higgins out there. You still got the impactful Eric Hall Jr. You still got Mike Gesicki. Guys that can make a play, make an impact. We've just, again, got to respect the Cleveland Browns on defense. You got to respect this coaching staff. They've had a way and they've had a game plan, especially at home, to beat the Cincinnati Bengals in the past. It does feel like this year's different just because it feels like you're going into this game 1-5. It feels like the Browns are a lot more depleted. It feels like their quarterback play is just not what it once was, which leads me to believe the Bengals find a way to win this football game 23-20. Nonetheless, love y'all's thoughts. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.